My uncle retired on a Friday and bought a brand new truck for $58,000 the following Monday. 18 months later, he was unloading it at a $19,000 loss because the payment was quietly eating his pension alive. I have seen that exact mistake so many times, it does not even surprise me anymore. So here's the thing. Nobody mentions the year you stop working. The smartest truck money you will ever spend sits somewhere under $11,000, paid in cash, on a rig that has already taken its depreciation beating and still has 150,000 honest miles left in the tank. After 20-some years with my hands in engine bays, I have 5 of them I would bet my own retirement check on. We are counting down to the one I would actually buy myself. Let us get into it. Number 5. The Chevrolet Silverado 1500 with the 5.3-liter V8. I want to start here because this is the truck that proves a simple point. Sometimes the most boring engine ever built is what you want when you're done working for a living. The 5.3-liter Vortec 5.8 has been bolted into Silverado since 1999, and it is one of the most proven half-ton truck engines of the last 25 years. Maintained even halfway decently, these things routinely cross from 250,000 to 300,000 miles. Parts are on the shelf at every auto store in America, and any mechanic, from a teenager to a retiree, can work on one with their eyes closed. I had a fella come in last spring, 63, who had just pulled the trigger on retiring from a county road crew. He wanted something to pull a small fishing boat and haul mulch for his wife's garden beds. Nothing crazy. He had been looking at a 2015 Silverado for $16,000. I told him to slow down, and I showed him a 2006 Silverado LT, 5.3, around 140,000 miles, listed at $9,400. He drove it home for $8,800. Here's the part that matters, and it's the one thing you have to get right on these trucks. Around 2007, GM started putting a system called active fuel management on a lot of these 5.3-liter engines. It shuts down 4 cylinders to save a little gas, and it does that using special lifters that have a documented habit of collapsing. When they go, you're looking at misfires, that telltale tick, and in the worst cases, a chewed-up camshaft. Repair quotes for that run anywhere from $3,500 to $8,000. That is retirement wrecking money on an $8,000 truck. There was also a piston ring oil consumption defect on certain 2011 to 2014 5.3-liter engines that got hit with a class action settlement, paying eligible owners around $3,380 apiece. So my advice on the Silverado is dead simple. Lean toward the older 1999 to 2006 trucks that never had active fuel management at all, or hunt for a fleet and work truck spec that was built without it. When you go to look at one, idle it from cold and listen for ticking. Pop the oil cap and check for sludge. Ask to see receipts, and on any AFM truck, ask point blank whether the lifters have ever been done. A Silverado with the cylinder deactivation deleted and good records is a 250,000-mile truck for under $9,000. Get the wrong one, and you've bought a very heavy lawn ornament that at risk is the only reason this great old workhorse sits at number 5 and not higher. Number 4. The Nissan Frontier with the 4.0 V6. If the Silverado is the loud American option, the Frontier is the quiet one almost nobody puts on their list. And that's a shame, because the engine in it is genuinely stout. Nissan's VQ40DE is a 4.0-liter V6 making around 261 horsepower, and they basically left it alone from 2005 all the way through 2021. That's one of the longest unchanged production runs in the truck world, which means every weakness it has is mapped out and every part you'd ever need is cheap and everywhere. A retired school teacher brought one to me 2 years ago, a 2013 Frontier her late husband had babied. She wanted to know if it was worth keeping or selling. I put it on the lift and found almost nothing wrong. These trucks, when they're cared for, just keep going past 200,000 miles without drama. But I'm not going to lie to you about the catch because it's a big one and it has a nickname. On Frontiers from 2005 to 2010 with the automatic, there's a radiator with the transmission cooler built right into it, and the thin wall separating the coolant from the transmission fluid can crack. When it does, the two fluids mix into a pink, foamy mess that mechanics call the strawberry milkshake of death. Once that gets into your transmission, it's essentially a death sentence for the gearbox, and you're out a radiator plus a transmission. Nissan extended the warranty on the affected trucks, but most of those windows have long since closed. So here's how you buy a Frontier Smart. First choice, find one with the manual transmission, because it does not run fluid through that radiator at all, which sidesteps the whole problem. If you want the automatic, either find a 2011 or newer truck with the redesigned radiator, or budget a couple $100s to drop in a new radiator and an external transmission cooler the day you buy it. While you are at it, start the engine cold and listen for a rattle up front, because the timing chain tensioners on these can wear, and that is the other known issue. Get those two things right, the radiator and the chain, and you have got a simple, tough, no-nonsense truck for around $9,000 to $11,000 that will see you through your 70s. The Frontier sits at 4 because that radiator gotcha scares off buyers who do not know the fix, which is exactly why you can get them cheap. Number 3, the Honda Ridgeline, first generation. Now we shift gears completely. The first 3 trucks on this list are for people who occasionally need to act like a truck. This one is for the retiree who wants a truck that acts like a comfortable car 90% of the time. The first generation Ridgeline, built from 2006 to 2014, was a genuine oddball when it came out, and that oddness is now its biggest strength on the used market. Honda did something nobody else did. They built it as a unibody, more like a tall crossover than a traditional body-on-frame pickup, and they gave it a car-like ride that, frankly, your back is going to thank you for at this stage of life. It's quiet, it drives smooth, and it had clever touches that still feel useful today. A lockable trunk built into the bed floor, perfect for keeping groceries or fishing gear out of the weather, and a tailgate that either flips down like normal or swings open sideways like a door. Under the hood is Honda's 3.5-liter J 35 V6, around 247 to 250 horsepower, and it has a reputation for being exceptionally durable. The average annual repair cost on a Ridgeline is something like $428, which is car money, not truck money. That's the kind of number a person on a fixed income wants to hear. A retired couple in their late 60s came to me looking at exactly this, wanting comfort and reliability over hauling capacity, and I pointed them at a 2012 Ridgeline. They've put almost no money into it since. 3 things you need to know before you buy one. First, skip the 2006 model year. That first year had the most complaints by a mile, including reports of a bad number 4-cylinder and broken valve springs. The sweet spot is the 2009 through 2014 trucks, after Honda sorted the early kinks. Second, and this is the big one, The J35 uses a timing belt, not a chain. It needs replacing around the 100,000-mile mark or the 7-year mark, and that service runs north of $1,000. So when you are shopping, ask flat out whether the timing belt and water pump have been done, and get the receipt. If they have not, you either negotiate that $1,000 off the price or you walk. Third, if you live anywhere they salt the roads, get underneath and look hard at the rear frame area, because Honda issued a salt belt recall on 2006 to 2014 Ridgelines for corrosion around the fuel tank mounting. A clean Ridgeline with a fresh timing belt, around $9,000 to $11,000, is the most comfortable truck on this whole list. The only reason it is not higher is that it is the weakest of the 5 if you actually need to tow or haul heavy. That brings us to the top 2, and these are the 2 I would hand my own parents the keys to without a second thought. If this kind of straight talk is saving you from a bad lot decision, do me a favor and hit subscribe. I have got more of these coming. Number 2, the Ford F-150 with the 4.6-liter V8. I'm going to recommend the truck almost everybody owns, but I'm going to recommend a very specific version of it that almost nobody talks about. Everybody knows the F-150 is America's best-selling truck. What they don't know is that the smartest used F-150 for a retiree is not the fancy turbo EcoBoost everybody chases. It is the plain old 4.6-liter 3-valve V8 that Ford built through 2010, and there is a reason I keep steering people to it. That 4.6 is, in my honest opinion, one of the most reliable engines Ford ever made for this truck. It flew under the radar its whole life because it was never the powerful one. It is a little underpowered for a full-size truck, sure, but for a retiree who is pulling a small trailer and running to the lumber yard, not racing anybody to a job site, underpowered just means relaxed, and relaxed means it lasts. There are virtually no major dependability complaints against the 4.6 once you get past 2008. And that past 2008 part is the single most important sentence in this whole video, so listen close. You must avoid the 2004 to 2008 F-150 with the 5.4-liter Triton 5.8. That engine is the worst one Ford put in this truck. It is famous for spark plugs that snap off in the cylinder head and cam phasers that grenade, and the repair bills land in the $3,000 to $5,500 range, which is more than the whole truck is worth at this price. The 2009 redesign was a complete turnaround for Ford, fixing the spark plug nightmare and cleaning up the build quality across the board. So your hunting ground is the 2009 to 2010 trucks with that 4.6-liter 3-valve. And if you can stretch to find a 2011 or later with the 5.0 Coyote 5.8 under $11,000, even better, because that Coyote is a 250,000 to 300,000 mile engine. I sold a buddy of mine, recently retired off the railroad, on a 2010 F-150 XLT with the 4.6-liter and about 120,000 miles for $9,500. He pulls a utility trailer and a little camper. 11 months in, all he has spent is an oil change, a set of plugs, and a battery. When you go to look at one, listen for a ticking or rattling sound on a cold start. That can point to timing chain tensioners on the higher mileage Coyotes. Check the frame and bed for rust if you are in a salt state, and run the VIN for open recalls. The reason the F-150 lands at number 2 and not number 1 is pure economics. There are so many of them out there that they are a screaming bargain, but they do not hold their value the way my number 1 does. And for a retiree, Holding value turns out to be the whole game. Number 1. The Toyota Tacoma with the 4.0-liter V6. Here it is, and I already know some of you are typing that those are too expensive, that you cannot find one under 11 grand. Hang with me because this is the exact argument I had with a retired nurse in my shop last year, and by the end, she agreed with me, bought one, and thanked me for it. The second generation Tacoma, built from 2005 to 2015 with the 1GR FE 4.0-liter V6, is the smartest truck a retiree can buy, and the reason has almost nothing to do with the engine and everything to do with the math. Yes, the engine is great. It makes around 236 horsepower. It is a simple, naturally aspirated V6 with no turbo to fail, and these trucks regularly run past 250,000 miles. But here is the secret. The Tacoma barely depreciates. It holds its value better than almost anything else on four wheels. Think about what that means for you specifically. When my buddy buys that $9,500 F-150, in 5 years it might be worth $5,000. When you buy a $10,500 Tacoma with 160,000 miles, in 5 years, if you take care of it, it might still be worth $8,500 or more. You will have driven a Toyota for 5 years for the cost of a couple $1,000s in depreciation. On a fixed income, that is not a truck. That is a savings account you can haul firewood in. That is the argument that won the nurse over. She did not want to hear spend more. She wanted to hear lose less, and the Tacoma loses less than anything. Now, the catch, because every truck on this list has one. With the Tacoma, the catch is rust, specifically frame rust. The first-generation trucks from the late 90s through 2004 had it so bad that Toyota ended up buying some back and extending frame warranties after a massive lawsuit, though most of those windows have now expired. The second-generation trucks you are shopping for handle salt far better, but they are not immune, and the frame is the one thing that can total an otherwise perfect Tacoma. There were also a small number of early head gasket issues on the very first 4.0 engines, and these engines have a harmless cold start tick that owners affectionately call the taco tick, which is normal and nothing to panic over. So here is your Tacoma inspection checklist, and I want you to follow it to the letter. 1. Get under the truck with a flashlight and inspect the frame inch by inch, paying attention to the rear leaf spring mounts and the front crossmember. Surface rust is fine. Flaking, scaling, or anything you can push a screwdriver into means you walk away, no matter how clean the rest of it looks. 2. If you are in a snow state, strongly favor a southern or western truck that has lived its life away from road salt. 3. Check the oil and listen to the engine. That light tick is normal, but knocking or pinging is not. 4. And this is the retiree pro tip I give everybody. Look for the one owned by an older person who garaged it, did every oil change on time, and used it to haul nothing heavier than golf clubs. A Grandpa Tacoma with documented service is the closest thing to a brand new truck you can buy for $10,000. If I retired tomorrow and had $11,000 to put toward one truck, I would keep for the next decade. I would not even think about it. I would find a clean, rust-free Tacoma 4.0, pay cash, and drive it into my 80s, knowing that when I finally sold it, I would get most of my money back. Nothing else on this list does that. So there you have it. 5 trucks that turn a fixed income into a smart one. The Chevy Silverado 5.3, the V8 workhorse on a budget, just dodge the bad lifters. The Nissan Frontier 4.0, simple and tough, Just handle that radiator. The Honda Ridgeline for pure comfort, just check that timing belt. The Ford F-150 4.6, America's truck at a bargain, just stay away from the Triton years. And the Toyota Tacoma 4.0, the one that's almost free to own because it barely loses a dime. The year you retire is the year you finally get to stop making the truck payment everybody else is drowning under. Buy it right, buy it in cash, and let it take care of you the way you've spent your whole life taking care of everyone else. If this helped, hit that like button and subscribe, because next I'm breaking down the exact trucks I'd avoid at any price. The ones that look like deals and end up costing you your savings. Drive safe out there. Take care of the truck and it'll take care of you. I'll see you in the next one.